All right, good evening, everyone. Hope you had a good day so far. Um, Afternoon, I guess. Okay, so the idea with this webinar is just to show some of the differences or about AutoCAD, Revit, and also SketchUp, and when to use either. Right, so let's look at the agenda. We're going to look at the overview of some of the softwares, how they would fit into your workflow or business. We're going to look at this example, and then we're going to conclude. All right. Okay, so the overview. Yes, we didn't add the LT side of the softwares, but AutoCAD LT could also be bunched in this whole, when to use what and how to use them. Now, AutoCAD LT is a starting up software. You can sketch using the software. It can be used with most industries, be it architecture, interior design, mechanical design, GIS, and you basically would just like a physical drawing board. You would just kind of sketch your information on a piece of paper. These lines represent something. So the lines that you draw, if it's two lines in parallel, could be a wall, it could be a pipe, it could be a piece of metal, that sort of thing. So it's basically a sketching tool, and we'll talk about when and how to use that at a later stage. Right. Okay. So sorry, I just want to get that. Okay. So the AutoCAD, what AutoCAD allows us to do is also sketch, but it allows us to sketch in a 3D perhaps environment. Also, if you do have AutoCAD, you would also get all the flavors of AutoCAD with the main or with a full version. These flavors, I call it flavors, but they are different AutoCADs based on AutoCAD, but they've got different menus. Each of those has a certain task, so you can say AutoCAD architecture has a base functionality of AutoCAD, but you can also draw walls, doors, and windows. Same with Plant 3D, where you have AutoCAD, but you can also draw pipes and motors and pumps and that sort of thing. AutoCAD Electrical, the exact same thing, where you create AutoCAD, but also circuits. These circuits are intelligent. Same with on the architectural side, AutoCAD architecture, these doors and windows, when you place them in a wall, it intelligently gets placed so the wall opens up for the door or window to be added. So when you use AutoCAD, or when AutoCAD is mentioned, think of an intelligent 3D application. However, there is some limitations, but that's the idea about on AutoCAD and in which industries it gets used. Right. Then there's also SketchUp. Now, with regards to SketchUp, it's basically a 3D modeling tool. However, you can also take this 3D model, and through the use of layout, it's another SketchUp tool, you can generate your 2D presentation drawings or your documentation. You also have the ability to load in a lot of 3D components from the 3D warehouse. Now, the 3D warehouse is a free library of components past users have uploaded, and you can use those components to in your model, be it furniture, be it people, anything that previous users actually have uploaded, and it's the beauty of it, it's basically free. But returning to SketchUp, it's basically a 3D modeling tool where you create basic 2D forms and you extrude it up into becoming a 3D environment. So in the view in the little picture on the left hand bottom, that floor plan, it's just been, the walls have been extruded, holes cut in, and it's ready for being components being added, maybe a roof added, and that sort of thing. Right. SketchUp is also very easy to learn. You can very easily get going with the software. All right, and then I'm going to look at Revit. Now again, Revit has got two versions of it, an LT version and a full version. The LT version is the LT stands for limited technology, so it's got limitations. However, you can do a lot of tasks with it, be it the 3D modeling and creating your 2D drawings from that 3D model. There are some limitations. Right, but it's an entry level, so the LT it's much cheaper. It's entry level, and then the full version, which is the full Revit, you can use that for obviously 3D modeling, presentation, and generating your 2D plans with this and with the LT. Right. One functionality of the full version of Revit is that it can be you can take your model and you can share or connect to other stakeholders via the cloud and BIM 360 to create or to share your model with other stakeholders, right? Which is obviously limited in the Revit LT. Right. So now that we've got a brief overview of the different softwares, how would they be used in an environment or in your workflow? As I said and mentioned, AutoCAD LT can be used just as a sketch-based tool. If you have certain layouts that you want to create, be it where the fire sprinklers are situated in a floor plan, or where furniture is situated in a floor plan as an interior design function, you can use that in most industries just to sketch and very quickly create deliverables. The Revit LT suite, I mentioned suite there because you get Revit LT plus AutoCAD LT in one box. But in saying that, you can use this now also for mainly in the architectural or the building industry, where you create your building models, and it's also entry level. So it's kind of getting, if you want to get going with 3D modeling and getting into the whole BIM idea, it's a good software to start off with. All right, and then obviously a little bit later you can progress into the full version or Revit. Right, SketchUp is typically used also in the building industry for 3D presentations or 3D modeling, but it can also a lot of times it's just used to present. A lot of guys use AutoCAD to sketch or to draw their plans with AutoCAD LT, and then they redraw it with in a 3D environment in SketchUp and present it as a 3D little model. It's a little bit disconnected, but it's kind of can be used. SketchUp can also be used as a primary drawing tool. I mentioned earlier the layout app. Now you would take your SketchUp model into layout and then generate your 2D plans of that, and they are linked. So if the 3D model changes, the layout do update. Right, so that's a different discussion, I guess. We go through the detail within SketchUp. Right, then AutoCAD, the full version is, as opposed to the LT, is a great tool for industries like electrical, like plant, where you've got an application, an AutoCAD application that caters for that particular industry. Even GIS with AutoCAD Map 3D. And as I mentioned, it looks like AutoCAD, but it just has extra menus pertaining to that particular task that you are busy with, be it electrical, plant, even architectural. There's also raster design tasks that you can work with scanned drawings and convert them to AutoCAD lines, that sort of thing. But okay, so AutoCAD is perfect for some industries. However, if you are in the architectural industry, AutoCAD um, might fall a little bit short if you look at the other tools that are out there, even SketchUp or even Revit. Now, the reason is that AutoCAD is kind of just a sketch-based tool. Yes, you do have AutoCAD architecture where you can draw and use intelligent objects like doors and windows, that sort of thing. But if you are in the building industry, specifically architecture or structures or MEP, Revit is a good investment to look at for future or even to learn and get going with. Right. Its main claim to fame basically is that it's a BIM authoring tool. We're all now aware of BIM and building information modeling, but Revit is one of the BIM authoring tools out there, and it can assist you in that sort of way. Right, I did mention Revit as well, so yeah, so that's the suggested BIM authoring tool, or even if you're just drawing small layouts, or even just looking at sun angles and sun studies, that sort of thing. Revit is suggested as a building industry modeler. Right. Okay. So the benefits, basically, obviously there is lots of costs involved. Each of these softwares has got a different cost, but basically the benefits that each of these software provide you is that AutoCAD LT, as we call it, it's easy to learn. It's an entry level software. You can do most tasks with it. So it's kind of it's got you can have different hats, using the software. If you're doing a lot of little things for a lot of little people, you can use that software for just creating lines, arcs, and circles very efficiently. All right. It's also seen as kind of an entry-level tool. So people getting into the industry to learn and to just get their feet wet in this industry, they'd use that sort of software. Right, then Revit LT Suite. It's basically just a level up. It's getting into the 3D modeling with Revit side to start creating 3D models, and the benefit there, it could be obviously the 3D side of it is a benefit, and it's also kind of very budget friendly. Both AutoCAD LT and the Revit LT suite's very budget friendly, and so it's also to get into the whole system. Right, SketchUp. Its main benefit, I think, is it's easy to learn. So you would take it off the shelf and you would get going. It's got lots of hints and tips as you go work through. There's lots of YouTube videos on it, and another benefit is there is lots of 3D models that you can leverage from the 3D warehouse. Right. A lot of people also use SketchUp just as for presentation only, but as I said, it can also be linked to a layout to present and generate your 2Ds. Right. A benefit also with SketchUp is you can link it to Lumion. It's another presentation software. We haven't discussed Lumion in this discussion yet, but it's another presentation based software. Right, and looking at AutoCAD and its benefits, thinking specifically at these industries like electrical, plant, GIS, and MEP. It's intelligent drawing, 3D drawing for these guys. Electrical, it could also, more basically 2D, but it's AutoCAD, and it's got extra menus for being more productive in that particular industry. All right, so you would draw faster. Right, and then obviously Revit. Its main benefit basically is the 3D modeling, parametric design, and also linking your model with other stakeholders, opening up the door for bigger projects, and the whole world of BIM, and BIM 360 to get into that top end of the spectrum. All right, yeah, as you also know, Revit is used for larger type projects, because of the all the stakeholders being able to work together in a whole BIM environment on the BIM 360 platform. All right, just looking at a small example, when and how you would be able to use this, and what software you want to use. Say you have a landscape architect, and you've got a task to create your landscape around the building, for instance. You could get away with just AutoCAD LT, just to simply sketch your layouts. If you look at the image or the picture top right, it's basically the building and the surrounds and the context of the building, and you just place your trees, and you're looking at sun angles, and where's north and south, and that sort of thing, and just creating the layout basically. So it's a very entry level solution. Yes, you can add colors with the hatch and that sort of thing, so it looks good, and so that is a possible solution. Now, if you want to go and have something in 3D, you'll have to look at something else, maybe SketchUp or Revit. You can get away with 3D in AutoCAD, but it's it's a little bit, the drawing side is a little bit chunky and slow. So I'd rather suggest, if you're looking at 3D, either SketchUp or Revit. Looking at the image in the middle on the right, that might be SketchUp with some trees and various components, and some presentations, colors and everything. So there is a 3D ability there. You can also add SketchUp or Revit into Lumion, and the image on the bottom right still, that's just an image of a Lumion presentation, and you can then take SketchUp or Revit into Lumion and create a realistic presentation. Obviously, there's other presentation tools like come to mind as like V-Ray or Inkscape and that sort of thing. So, but you'd have to have a 3D of the model first and then export it. Right, then in this example, the suggested software basically is Revit, where you, and at the bottom, there is a little image in the bottom middle, where you basically create the model, and you have the floor plans, you have the sections, you have the elevations, you also have so the 2Ds and 3Ds of the model, and then you can also take it to Lumion and then present it in a realistic environment, adding effects like rain or trees and that sort of thing. So with this all in mind, if you think about it, you can actually use any of the softwares that you have provided. It's basically just how fast you would get there, but let's talk about that just now. Right, so you can actually, as I mentioned, you can use any of the software. However, how fast would you want to go there? Do you want, you have to consider if you want 3D, if you want only 2D, and that will give you the idea of which object or which software to use when. Obviously, if you are looking at larger projects or playing in the field where it's larger projects that that are available, you'd obviously look at softwares like Revit, where you know, it's and BIM, and it's a requirement these days to use BIM authoring tools. So so that's some considerations that you need to just look at when you want to use the software in which environment. All right. I don't know if there's any questions, particularly to the topic. If anyone has a question, you're welcome to give me or to type it out. Okay, so there's a question with regards to format. All right, so how does format compare to SketchUp? Right, they are very similar, with some difference with regards to format. It is an Autodesk product, and we also work very easily in format, meaning that you can create a 2D base, and then you extrude that base in forming the 3D model, very similar to SketchUp. However, SketchUp has got lots of additional tools, modeling and that sort of thing, and it's seen as a you model from start to finish in SketchUp format. The idea behind it is just to create the concept. There is and then once you've created the concept, looking at sun angles, some design considerations with regards to the site and angles and that sort of thing, then you stop basically and you pass that format model over to the Revit environment. And the link between format and Revit is very good. So the information that you've created and designed within format just goes into Revit, where you basically create the documentation for that design and that sort of thing. So format on its own is a little bit of a I would say not the total. It doesn't cover the total spectrum. Its idea is just to create block models to eventually then pass over to Revit and develop the design further in Revit, and then to present it within Revit. Okay, whereas SketchUp basically is you create the components, and you stay in SketchUp maybe to create the documentation and the model, and then maybe export it to Lumen to do the presentations. Right, the operation of the two is very similar, where you create a basic 2D form, and then you click on that form and you extrude it to create the 3D or the Z axis and the 3D model. Okay, so there, I suppose, is the comparison in a nutshell. All right, any other questions? All right, so thank you guys for attending. I hope it's given you some information and to kind of make a right decision if you are looking into getting into the architectural world and purchasing software. And if you have any obviously questions, you're welcome to visit us and ask questions on the on our website, www.mgfx.co.za. Right, thank you very much. Hope you have a lovely day further, and have a good day.